Gotta say it loud and say it proud.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome back. I cannot believe we're on episode 8 already. We're like, ah! And look who's with us tonight. Monica is here. Samora Smallwood
Hello.
is here.
Hi. Hello. How are you, Roxanne? How are you, Kathy?
We're okay.
Terrific.
Okay. We're excited. So the tag is ponderers. Did you see that? Ponderers, because it's the pond and we like to ponder. So it's ponderers.
That's good. That's very good.
I
I mean,
love it.
we could all use a little pond in our life. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't a spoiler, was it?
No.
Okay.
No. No. Samora would if there was one in my backyard.
Mora. Yes, yes, yes.
Because I'm not sure you'd want to. We've waxed eloquent about that pond and the it's just icky.
Yeah.
It looks icky.
It's gross.
And not entirely warm, I'm sure.
No. Alex was on. She was like one of our first guests, Alex Hook, and she was
She's
telling us
wonderful.
she is, and she was telling us what people went through and it gets cold and the whole process and stuff, which was really nice. It was fun to learn all those details. But we're here for you. And I just before we even get started, because what happens is people fall in love with characters and then the actors, and then they want to see where else they can find you. So just give us a little bit of your history of how you got to be here.
A little bit of my history, how I got to be here. Well, I was born in Newfoundland. So that's the eastern part of Canada, and I'm
Yes.
half West African and half Newfoundlander. And I just was always telling stories, doing impressions for my family. And finally, I suggested, you know what? I think I want to be an actor. And of course, my mom was much more interested in the intellectual pursuits and was like, this is a hobby, this is for fun. So I didn't start to pursue acting professionally until going to university. I thought, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to audition for this program and follow my heart. And then it all just happened. It's so funny because there's not always a plan. You just follow your instincts. And now I'm so happy and blessed and grateful to be a full-time working actor who gets to work with really fun people on great projects like The Way Home. So life's pretty cool.
Do you write? Did I read somewhere that you were a writer?
You're very well researched. I am. I'm currently developing a number of projects for film and TV, and it's always a big passion. And now it's a really important time for people to tell their own stories. So for years, I was an ACTRA Toronto Diversity and Inclusion Committee co-chair, and representation and inclusion and equity is very important to me. So I think we're seeing a beautiful change in our industry where we're seeing lots of different kinds of stories,
Yes.
and they're all interesting. So.
Oh, look at
How
that.
did you end up in on the way home? What was that process like of the auditioning, I would imagine, and kind of waiting to see and all that? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Okay. So if there are any actors watching, I am you. I salute you right now. Because of the COVID pandemic, you used to go into the room and audition for either the casting director, directors, producers in real life. And now we do that all from home. So for auditioning for The Way Home, you get an email from your rep and you're very excited. I certainly was, because Monica, right away, I knew who she was and how fun she would be to play. So what you do is you read the sides, that's what the script is called. You memorize your lines, and then you set up all the lights in your own house. You're responsible for all of this stuff. You set up your camera, and then you pick a friend or family member. And I'm going to tell you, at this point, 2 years into self-taping, my friends, my family, my mom, they're all sick of me. They are sick of helping me get jobs. I'm just kidding, Mom. My mom's watching.
Oh.
I know you're not sick of me. And then, so Monica's kind of like the frenemy. You could read her on the page as being a mean girl, and she certainly is competitive with Kat, especially for those of you who watched the first few episodes of Monica's journey on The Way Home. She finds Kat a little bit intimidating, and Monica likes to be considered the queen bee and doesn't want anyone ruffling any feathers. So it was fun. It was really fun. I did the tape, and Monica's one of those roles where I sent in the tape, and I remember saying to my partner, I got that. Like, I just knew I'm going to be playing her.
Excellent.
You felt it. You knew.
Yes, and the scene was so fun. So for the audition, the scene that we did, I think it's in episode 2, maybe it's in episode 3. It's when Kat Landry first comes into the Point, my restaurant, and I see her for the first time after all of these years. And I'm sure anyone watching knows sometimes it can be so awkward when you bump into someone, especially someone that you had kind of like a fraught relationship with from high
Yes.
school or whatever, and you bump into them in the real world. Sometimes it can be awkward.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
One of the questions I have about Monica's history is she was married, she's divorced now, and her husband was, what was it, Roxanne Spilsky?
No, wait a minute, is Monica divorced? I didn't think you were divorced.
Are you divorced or
Uh,
married? Because we've never seen the husband.
we have not yet seen my husband.
Okay,
But I don't think you're divorced.
1999.
You know what? We saw him in 1999 in a distance, like way afar.
I know, behind the party decorations.
Yeah. Bilski was back there, but we haven't seen him in present time, correct?
That's going to be filed under the things I can't say
Okay, but I know
about when you might get to see him,
Okay,
because
cool.
season 2 has been announced.
Yes, and we know that.
We're thrilled.
We're
I
thrilled.
went off here when we found out there was a season 2.
Yeah, we knew
So
it.
am I.
All right.
Really thrilled, except for I, just like many of the viewers, are rooting for the mystery to get solved, for them to find out what happened.
It's
So
okay to
that's
start
something
a
that
new
as a
mystery, but clear up some of the stuff from, because
I know.
Give us some, and then we could get more as they go along. That's my theory, but I'm going to take whatever I get. Normally, I can like guess things. I don't even try. Like, no, I'm just
I
for the
tried
ride.
at the beginning, and then it's like, okay, that was wrong. So I've just given up to see the story.
I remember on a previous episode, Kathy, you mentioned that's your special skill, knowing what's going to happen, knowing what's coming.
Yes, yes.
So
yes.
it makes me
I've
very
been
happy
very good
that you
at
don't
that.
necessarily know.
I know that the writers are doing such a job of
Yep.
keeping us going.
They're the best.
There are a number of times where I read the script and actually gasped or cried. There was a couple of different scripts where I was reading it and actually was brought to tears. It's such a touching story. That's what makes it so rewarding as a job, as an actor.
And I like when Alex was on, she was saying, and I think Sam may have said this too, where you don't, when you only get your scripts so many blocks, like because they do it in blocks so much ahead, so you are kind of left surprised too, like you said, you gasp, and you're like, oh, and then Alex said your jaw drops. Her jaw dropped at the very last episode. So I'm like, we all ask everybody that, is our jaw going to drop? Everyone says yes.
If you're invested in this show and in this story, 100%.
Wow.
And we were all just waiting. We couldn't wait to get it and find out what was going on, because we've had our little cast chats about theories that we have about what happened and what's going on. But that's one of the things that makes you get invested in the story, I think, is it's very relatable, because everyone would love the opportunity to maybe go to the past and try and fix something, fix a mistake or fix a situation, take better care of a relationship, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what really drew me to the project. And I knew that it would be a success because everyone has a situation like that. And it's nice to explore it through somebody else. And I think the stakes are so high in the story. And you're definitely rooting for them all. And I love watching the scenes I'm not a part of, and seeing the actors do their magical thing.
I love the oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I was going to say, I love the dynamic with you and Kateam. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Because it seems like lately I've been seeing some tension where it seems like he kind of wants to, he's chafing at the bit a little. I'm hoping that they will explore that more, that whole dynamic between mother and son. And I wanted to ask, have you spent time with your 1999 counterpart? Did you try to spend time with her to like compare notes on, behavior and nuance so that you could play each other? Am I babbling, or does that make sense what I'm what I'm saying?
I put it up there.
Not babbling at all. That makes perfect sense. And those are such great questions, actually, because as an actor, you want to be able to do those things. So, this is the first time I've ever played a character that had a version of themselves in the past that audiences will meet. So, it was very fun going through the scripts and seeing what does teen Monica do and trying to figure out how has Monica grown and how has her life changed. So, what you're saying is one of the biggest things that helped me decide how I kind of wanted to navigate playing Monica, because as a woman of color, I'm very aware of how women are represented on TV. And to me, it's not as fun if they're just frenemies. If Monica's just coming for Kat all the time, it's not as real for me. I wanted to figure out, okay, what's her story? And when you meet Monique, who plays young Monica, she's so vibrant and sparkly, and so am I. So I'm going to say they did a very good job with casting.
They did.
Um, but you want to wonder how come, like Kat, she didn't get out of town. So I started to think, oh, she must really love this place. This place must be very special. What's so special about it? And then I started to think about the math of me having a kid that age. And I thought, oh, maybe Monica went away to school and had to come home because she was having her son.
Mm.
So that's why she pours all this love into him and wants to give him these opportunities, let him try his own recipes at the restaurant. So that was really important to me to have that mother-son relationship. So it makes me so happy that you want to see more of it. I hope they do explore it more. And I would love to dig more into what that relationship is between me and Spencer. And then my younger Monica, the actress who plays me, we spent a lot of time together, not necessarily dissecting the script, but just getting to know each other. And she wanted to know, are there any mannerisms or things you're kind of planting? And it's on the page, but Monica is very, she's a good leader. I hate the word bossy. She's a good leader. So
Yes.
there's that relationship between Spencer and I where I'm always tidying him up, telling him what to do, making sure everything's perfect, which I hope women watching, although Monica is not a lead character in this show, I feel she's a really important one, because what I try and do whenever Monica shares the screen is show this woman fighting for her community, fighting for the people she loves. I especially loved the episodes where Monica and Del get closer, and Monica
Mm.
wants to empower Del and get her out of her shell and make everyone remember how great life was and can be. So one of the core themes of healing, I think, is very emotionally resonant for audiences, especially when I read their comments after watching the show. And it's one of my favorite themes as well.
I also love when you had that conversation with Kat, and you said to her, like, you acted like, oh, everything was perfect, but then you sat down and said, yeah, no, it's not, like, and you were like, yeah, there are days like when I need to have a drink.
Yeah.
It's all about yoga. It
Yeah.
was,
And in fact, I have some right here.
I know, that was so cute. I really enjoyed it. And you know what else? I love how they dress you. Do you have any say in what you're wearing? The costumes, whoever's doing the costume design, and I wanted to have them on, they're great. So
They
you
really are.
have really cool outfits. Do you get to have any say, or you just arrive and they dress you up?
You do actually get to have say as
Yeah.
an actor. It's really wonderful. Costume is very interested in what you feel confident in.
Cool.
So you don't go shopping with costume at all, but there are tons of options. Thank you for saying that you like what Monica wears. So do
Yes.
I. I get
Yeah.
so excited to see what she's going to wear. It's so colorful. Everything feels very comfortable and flattering. Um,
It's
I wish
not
I could keep it all.
It's not small townish either. Like, you always have some, like, little flair to it, and I like that a lot. So it's like, so you.
It's so awesome that you say it, because that's a part of thinking about the character. I remember, um, it's so nice to sit and chat with you, and that you guys like the show and you obviously know TV and story because you're picking up on all the really key stuff. I remember in one of my first fittings just trying to wrap my head around all the fancy clothes they had for Monica, because when I auditioned for her, I always loved to have a woman be how she might be in real life. So I did not wear like, I have interview makeup on now. Monica was very like subdued. I gave her a red lip, though I knew she might be fancy. But on the show, she wears a lot fancier clothes. And we talked about that in one of the first fittings. And I thought, I know Monica makes a monthly like shopping trip. You go to the good mall,
Mhm.
and this is her thing. And Monica's planning. I'm not going to say she has political aspirations, but if Monica became mayor of the
Oh,
town,
I think,
like
yes.
I could
Yeah.
see her running Port Haven.
Yes.
And I
So
thought that's what she does. That's her one indulgence. Monica allows herself to go to the good mall with the TJ Maxx or whatever that's not picked over and gets all of her clothes, and that's her thing. So I'm so glad you noticed it, because then once we came up with that, we just worked together to always say, okay, Monica, what did she get on her shopping trip? What's the event? Um, it's been so much fun. Like the red jumpsuit I wore for the lobster social, I'm obsessed. Obsessed.
you
It's
want
it's
need go ahead.
we spend so much time on the fan page theorizing. I mean, everybody's got 10 theories about what's going to happen. One of the things I've picked up on, and I don't know if this is just in my head or it's something that's planned, and I'm not seeking spoilers. This is just
Yeah, she's just talking out loud. We know no spoilers. No
yeah,
spoilers.
yeah. Anyway, I've noticed they seem to be hinting maybe that there may be a little interest with Spencer and Alice,
Mm.
which I'm like, I feel bad for Zoe, but if they're going to go that way, it would be interesting for them to explore the dynamic of Monica and Kat and their relationship.
Yes.
If their kids,
Had a
decide to get
relationship.
together.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would
Oh,
that
that
would,
I
that would be some meaty stuff, I think.
So when we're finished chatting with you, then we do a little recap. So we might talk a little bit more. I mean, you will say goodnight, and we're going to shower you with some love. I'll show you what everyone is saying in the little
Aw, thank you.
and Kathy and I know we already have some ideas about that relationship. And I love when we say it out loud, because sometimes people hear it and then they just write it in. Somehow it just appears in next season.
Yeah.
That's 100%, that happens.
It does. It does. I know it does.
I always tell the fans, and when you're a fan of a show, you
Mhm.
want to show them love. You want to make sure to promote and encourage. There's so many amazing shows out and movies, and if you see a show that you really resonate with, you
Mhm.
want to promote it as much as you can. So I'm always here for the theories. We have theories of our own. As I said, the cast wants to know, and I've pressed everybody because we're all very, very close. You can imagine shooting a show like The Way Home.
Sure.
There really are. There's no jerks. Like
Yeah.
everyone is awesome.
Aw.
And so we do theorize about what's going to happen. So
I
do you
love
have a favorite theory? I'm not saying I can say anything about it. There are things I know that the audience doesn't know. There's tons of stuff we know that you
My
guys don't know.
favorite theory is that Colton is going to show up at some point, that he isn't really dead. I just love Jefferson Brown and his work.
It's funny. She has a name for him. What do you call him? Because the people have been putting it on the fan page, and I started laughing. You call him? You call him?
I call him Grandpa Hunky, because he's a nice looking older gentleman.
And I laughed.
Indeed.
Somebody wrote on the fan page,
Grandpa Hunky.
and they started talking about the theory with him, and I was like, oh gosh, Kathy's little nickname for him has like stuck.
Caught on.
I know.
You have to have him on. That's what his name on the display should be.
We will try. We try. He might be busy. I forget I don't know what he was doing, because I talked to his agent and I forget, but we try. Like we reach out to all kinds of people, because we love everybody. Even
I like that theory, though. I just want to interject. I like that theory. That was one of those moments when I read the script and was just like, no.
Yeah.
It makes you sad.
Oh my gosh.
And we're at that point where poor Kat is living it and seeing it now, and we're like, oh, it makes me sad too. I get sad too.
Me too. My mom cried the last episode.
Aw. The writing is exceptional. I'm a Hallmark fan. I love Hallmark, and I mean, I watch and promote all kinds of things, but this writing is like no other writing. I mean, it's
phenomenal.
It's
the attention to detail and the story. Like, I've often marveled at how they keep track of everything.
Yes.
But what you have kind of focused in on is one of my favorite things, because I've been on Hallmark before. I'm a huge Hallmark fan. And you watch Hallmark and you want to feel good.
Yes.
You are going to feel good.
Yes.
The amazing thing about The Way Home is it's a departure for Hallmark in the sense that it's about a very serious topic. And in many ways, that generational trauma of what happened to, you remember how the pilot opens. It's not just Dell. It's like before that.
Yes.
And I thought that was so modern and really fresh and cool. And the way they handle a more serious topic than is normal for Hallmark, they're breaking new territory because everyone's still so lovable. You're rooting for them. Who wouldn't want to go back in time and be friends with their mom when she's a teenager?
I know. Oh,
I
I
keep
would love to do that.
I keep waiting for an antagonist, and Roxanne keeps telling me there may not be one. This is Hallmark, and I'm like, but it's part of the formula. But one of the things I absolutely adore about this show is it's plot that keeps you on the edge of the seat, but
Mhm.
it's not plot that sacrifices the character development. Because yes,
Mhm.
plot each week, but we also see each of the characters grow, or we see hints of their character, no matter how big or how small their part. We're seeing things that we then pounce on, like, what is Monica's story? Why is she, hostile sometimes and sometimes it's nice? And yeah, it's amazing how they keep all those balls in the air.
It's good
Yeah, it
stuff.
was important to me to make sure that Monica felt layered that way, that she wasn't, especially. I hope everyone's caught up. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's.
If they're here, they know that it's episode 8, so we're okay.
Okay, great. So sometimes you read a script when you're playing a character like Monica, and you'll be speaking to Dell, who is played by the amazing Annie McDowell, and the nuance she brings to the character and the heart is just it's phenomenal.
Mhm.
And you read scripts and you know that there's going to be some conflict between you and a character. You just want to make sure to handle that with humanity and know that you are going to maybe accuse someone of something, but
Yes.
the act of what happened in this town at the carnival, um, everyone in the town was affected and lost something. That was my most important thing, is I really wanted to honor the truth of what happens when there's a trauma in a community, that everyone, including Monica, is affected. So I really wanted to try to empower Dell to reclaim her life, which is so awesome because we're in that moment culturally where just last night, Michelle Yeoh won an Oscar and was saying, "Don't let anyone tell you you're past your prime." So
Aw.
we're in a really great time where we're seeing some actual progress for women on the screen. So I love that there's this multi-generational story. And for me, it was important that Monica wasn't going to come for Dell. She wasn't trying to be the mean girl and say, "We need to come back to the carnival and we need to get Port Haven back to what it used to be for my own selfish needs," even though she's a business owner.
Yes, yes.
She wants to help heal the community as well. So that was what I really enjoyed about Monica, and seeing what was going to come out
You know what I
episode
love?
after episode.
The little bit of humor that they put in there after that very serious scene, and the actor who played, adult Danny, he's crying,
Ugh,
the tears coming off of his nose. It made me heart like wrench. And then you see
same.
Del look over, and you could see that he had ripped down all the signs, and they were stuffed in his fireplace. I laughed, and I'm like, look
Yeah.
at that. They took you from that, and then it's kind of jarring, but it makes you laugh, and it's a good thing.
Well, my
So
mom she was here at my house. We were in the living room, and she says, "He tore them down." She couldn't believe it, and I'm like, "Yes, that actor was so lovely. That storyline is wonderful." So
it
you must have
is.
some theories about that. Everything that went down that
I
night.
just want to know what happened to all that gorgeous curly hair that Danny had as a child.
As a adult, he had
They
none.
buzzed it off.
Apparently,
Maybe in his backstory, he went to the military.
that could be it.
Don't know. Yeah, could
I don't
be.
know. Do they even make you shave your head anymore in the military? I'm not
No,
pretending to be an expert.
They do. You
no,
still have to get the buzz cut.
no. Oh goodness. Now I have one question for you before I'll show you some of the questions or comments that our friends here are making. What do you enjoy the most? And now you may have told us this already though from all that you shared, but if you were to think of one thing that really has had a great impact on you, being a part of this project, what would you say? I'm sure there's many because you've shared, but what's the biggest?
The best part about the show and being on it is that everyone is wonderful.
Oh.
So we have PAs, which are production assistants on the show,
Hmm.
who are so great. And I think, and the environment is just very uplifting and positive. And I think that the culture always will trickle down. So from the people up at the top. So on this show, I play a supporting character, but let's say in Death She Wrote, I play the lead. It's the job of that actor who's taking on that bulk to kind of make sure to set the tone, like in a regular corporate job, to set the culture. So Kyler is one of the nicest people in the whole wide world. The
Mm.
coolest, funniest, takes the job seriously, even though she's been in the game and done hundreds and hundreds of TV episodes of TV. Um, Andy McDowell is such a professional and just such a witty, funny, cool woman. So they're at the top of the cast on this show,
Mhm.
and we all just laugh and we have fun. And when we do our scenes, um, it's nice knowing that you're making something special. That's, I guess, the other really nice part is while you're making it, it's not lost on you that it's special. Like when we film a scene and I interrupt Kat and Brady, all that backstory is real there. I have strong opinions about him, and like many of the audience members, Monica is Team Elliot,
Mhm.
and
There's
all
no
of that
other
feels
team.
real when you're doing it on the day. Pardon
Oh.
me.
There's no other team. There's just Team Elliot.
You
It's
don't know.
unbelievable how there's zero other team. My mom was saying that the other day when we were watching shows. She ends up with him, right? Because if she doesn't, I'm like, Mom, join the long list of people who, including me, who want to know what happens in that situation. Just kidding, I do know, but
Okay.
it's the best part of the show is everyone involved. You feel good going to work, and you feel good leaving work, and it doesn't feel long when it is super long. That's one of the best parts. And on a personal note, for me, one of the best parts of playing Monica is that as an artist, I've mentioned already, it's really important for me to have women be seen in the performances that you do in all kinds of roles that you play. So I'm really proud of the evolution of Monica in the scenes that I have as her and trying to always make sure to tell that story in what feels like an authentic and true way for all of the women watching and the people watching. Those are the two best things. I could go on and on. There are
I
many good
know.
things.
Oh,
And I love it when people like are mad at your character and I'm like, that means that you're doing a wonderful job. You made us
Yep.
feel something, you know? Like you made us like if you're like we're not just like, yeah, you're just there to be there. Monica is like irking us, some of us sometimes, you know?
Monica,
Nice. Okay.
Monica is mercurial. She
Yes.
irritates you 1 minute and then you just love her the next.
Oh,
So,
yeah, it's true.
Oh,
You're
thank you,
layered
Kathy.
like
That is a perfect word for her.
yep, yep.
good one, Kathy. All right, so I'm not sure if you can answer this. It says we know that you have a season 2. Do you know what your taping schedule is like? Do you know when you're going to start taping, or you don't know?
Not yet.
You can't
I
say.
wonder if it will be the same time as
I was
last season.
yeah.
Um,
You
I
can
do know some things, but all I can say is I'm in Toronto currently, um, and I think the weather will be nicer than it is now when we start.
Oh, good. Well, that's a good thing because some people were freezing jumping in and out of
Oof.
that pond.
Unbelievable.
Can I ask one more question, Roxanne,
Oh,
before
yeah,
you go to
of
more?
course you can,
So
Kathy. No, no,
this
you
this
cannot.
this question was prompted because of the Oscars last night, and I don't watch the Oscars, but I do watch the coverage of it. And I
Mhm.
do Miss Andy got honored last night
She
with
did.
yep.
She was a
So
presenter with
yeah,
Hugh
Hugh
Grant,
Grant.
and they did 4 weddings and a funeral before,
Yep.
and it was so cool. That was
And he
such a
had
good
such
moment. I
nice
love it when
things
they
to
throw
say
it back.
about her. Yeah. Are
Yeah.
there? I know there are award shows in Canada, but which ones would cover the way home? And when would that happen? When would we know if the cast or the show or anyone associated with it has been nominated for any kind of award?
I think the rules, and it's different for every award show, after the final episode airs, what time period they fall in
Oh,
terms of
that's
awards. So
true.
right now we have the
Yeah.
Canadian Screen Awards are coming up in April. There's mine behind me. I don't know. Can you? There it is. Yes.
Oh,
Best lead actress in a movie for TV. That is the biggest award show in our country, and that covers TV and film. So I don't know if it would be nominated there, but for the Canadian performers on the show, like Sadie Snow, there's ACTRA awards, and that's like the SAG awards here in Canada. And there are Directors Guild awards for the Directors Associated, Writers Guild awards because you mentioned the writing. There's tons of different award shows, but the Canadian Screen Award is the biggest one. But I don't think it would have been eligible because it hasn't aired yet. the last episode. Or also, I don't know if it's technically considered a Canadian show. I
Mm.
think it's US.
Interesting.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is US actually. I think you're correct. A lot of people have been putting it's Canadian, it's this, it's this, it's this, and they list all the stuff for Canada. And I'm like, no, I think you're and why is it that we're one episode behind? Certain parts of Canada are one
I
episode
know.
behind.
I do dislike that we're an episode behind.
Yes. And I'm like, that's not even true. It's not all like people get confused. So they get very angry about that part that you're one
Well, they
behind.
very passionate about shows that they love,
Yeah, I
which is a
know.
really great feeling. But my grandfather right now is in Florida, and that's why I wish that we could watch it on the same night because then he wants to call and ask questions about the story.
And you
And
keep
it's
yeah.
funny because even if I knew Old Man, I wouldn't tell you.
Wow.
Like the next
You,
thing you
you
know, he'll
draw
tell
on a good
everyone,
deal,
all of his friends.
you
Yeah.
draw a good deal of yourself from Monica. I can tell from that last remark.
That's funny.
Monica's not just on the page. Okay.
um, so Margie, I put her up on the screen, and she says, I think they put together a stellar cast for this show, and that is so true, so
Oh,
true.
thank you, Margie. Everyone's
And
wonderful.
they are. And Mommy of Six says, I love the part where Monica thinks she's interviewing Kat for a job.
That was the audition.
That was it.
That
For
scene
you?
was the audition.
That was
Yes.
cute.
And it was our first day together on set, which is so wonderful because sometimes, thank you so much, Mommy of Six. That was one of our funnest scenes to do. And it's funny because sometimes you work together with an actor and that's
Mhm.
your first time meeting. So we had done table reads for all of the episodes. They really took such great care with the show. So I had quote unquote met Kyler. But in terms of in real life meeting and
Mhm.
working together, I never had. So some of that energy that you feel between them when you're an actor, you can capitalize on it when you because we really don't know each other.
Cool.
So I'm sitting in front of you. Of course, I've seen Kyler on many shows before, and now we're looking at each other as these two people, and then let's just play into that energy. And that was such a fun day because we pushed Monica to the limit in some takes of how mean girlish she could be.
Yeah.
It
But
was
it was
fun.
good. It was good. It was a good way for them to introduce you. I like that. It was a good scene for us to really get like the meat and potatoes of who you are. This is
Mhm.
a nice comment. Was there anything that you kept from season 1 as a souvenir? Like that red jumpsuit maybe?
I don't want to get anyone in trouble. Did I
Okay.
keep anything as a souvenir? Maybe. Maybe. There's some merchandise in the Port Haven, in the Point, my restaurant in
Mhm.
Port Haven that I would love to keep because the art department on the show is phenomenal. Like all around the restaurant, there's beautiful stuff.
Yes.
But generally speaking, as an actor, no, you can't take that stuff. And that's called stealing. So you just touch it and you want to. And then now that we're going back for season 2, I would probably feel comfortable to say, oh, I really loved that. And sometimes what happens as an actor is you get very lucky and you just mention to your wardrobe team that you enjoy a piece very much. And then if your character's not going to wear it again, and sometimes you get special gifts.
Nice.
Sometimes. And
Um,
for a character like Monica, you want to. I wish I could have kept every single item.
I know. I'm telling you, you have a good wardrobe. Kathy says Monica for mayor,
Yes, Kathy.
and Christina says Monica adds flair to the show, and you fit the part well. Aw,
Aw, thank you, Christina. I love that.
yeah.
It makes me feel really good that fans are feeling that way because Monica's so confident. And when you play a character who's very confident, then you get to embody that energy. So, universe, God, spirit, whatever you believe in, will give you these gifts sometimes. And if you're not an actor or an artist, the art you consume can do that for you. Whatever poems you're reading, you want to get a feeling from the art that you do. So, that's been so wonderful. It's excellent to hear that you think I fit the part well because, some days you're not as confident as others and you're just, faking it.
Nope, you're doing a good job. Tony says you are the leader of the pack.
Ooh, Tony, yes.
All right, we
I
have a
feel like
little.
Monica could be the leader of the town. I think she
You
is,
could.
at least in her
You
own
could.
mind.
You are. You are. I already thought that. I already thought, oh, I know they're going to go where they're going to go with this. That's one of my theories that you will be
Is it?
running. for some, like, mayor or something.
Oh,
So,
that would be heaven to watch you run for mayor and watch what you do to whoever's unfortunate enough to decide to run
You know
against
what
you.
I'm saying?
That would
When
be
she sips
interesting.
the from the chalice of power, I would love that.
mhm,
Okay, so make sure that you let people know that that's your theory and
we
that's what
will.
you think. There's some people that think that.
I know.
I
Um,
that's the thing as an actor with a role, you sometimes talk to the showrunners and the producers and the writers and find out where the character's kind of going because you were saying, I think that it was Alex who plays Teen Cat who was saying the episodes come out and you get surprised week by week. Yes, so
yes.
when you're crafting the character, you're like, okay, I want to plant some seeds of what's to come. You need to know sort of where it's going, and every single actor on the show is good at planting those little seeds, and they're all gonna pay off. It's
All right.
exciting.
Okay, we've been paying attention. Like, people are really paying attention,
They
which is so.
really are.
I'm a teacher, and I an ELA teacher, so we are always reading and dissecting stories and looking for clues. That is why I am so thrilled by this script, because I'm like, what? I'm writing them down to see if my little tiny theories here and there are building up into something. Some of the answers I already had and I was wrong. And then some are like, no, I'm right. I was right about a lot of things in this last scene. With
Nice.
But Gloria here says the New Year's Eve party was, and this is something I was wondering too, was at Monica's house. This is in 1999. And it was a nice house. Does Monica come from money? Is that something in the background? Because I feel like that. I feel like she, as a young girl, she had beautiful clothes and she made a point of talking about the clothing
That
as a,
owns their own business.
yeah, and now you have your own business. So, but you could have built that up yourself, which I guess, but her parents, do we know, or is that not?
To be announced.
Yeah.
To be announced. My
Okay.
is the short answer, but there is a longer answer. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Miranda, for putting in this comment because it's so fun to see what they drive, if they have a car, and if they have a house, and the socioeconomic background or your character's position is in society is huge. So I'm so glad that you picked up on that. I remember one of my first questions to the showrunners, directors, writers when we would talk about Monica after I booked the role was that I wanted to know she owns this fancy restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
How? I mean, that's very, very expensive. My father was, I'm a first generation. My father came to Canada as a refugee, and my uncle was the premier of Newfoundland at the time, Joey Smallwood, and was able to help my father get a stay here because he and his friends had absconded from Cabo Verde, where he's from. And when he came here, he worked really, really, really hard alongside my mother because behind every man is a wonderful, great woman handling business. And he owns a restaurant. It's very expensive. It's very hard work.
Oh,
And so that helped me see how somebody who didn't necessarily come from money could get it because I got to make up my backstory around that. So the
cool.
biggest thing for me was that Monica's parents are still married and
Nice.
they're that cohesive
Oh,
kind of
okay.
family unit. Yeah. So she had that support when with Spencer because raising a child is such a big job and you need people's help.
Yes. It takes a village. That's actually a proverb um from Africa, when we learned about that in our social studies. That's one of their proverbs.
Nice. Well, it
It-
makes sense, right? It
yeah.
really does.
Yeah.
There's one topic. I'm going to question up Roxanne. Okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, oh,
Oh,
what happened
I
to
put that up. I'll take it away. Sorry, go ahead.
Mhm.
There you
so there's endless speculation on the page about all the different references to Alice in Wonderland. And so
Mhm.
Arlene is asking, have you read Alice in Wonderland? Because the references are just adding up. Or if you haven't read the book, are you aware that they're consciously throwing these?
Like in props and everything. The calendar was in
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland. The cards from last night were out. Yes. Okay. Good.
I hope that your fans and the fans of The Way Home are posting all of this stuff where
We
we can
are.
all see it because it's so lovely. And you have to add me to your fan groups so that I can keep up with what's going on there.
We
I
will.
love to read the comments on Twitter about people's theories about the show and the stuff that they're catching. Yes, I think that's pretty intentional. And those Easter eggs make watching so much fun. And
No, it doesn't. It drives us crazy because let's be real here.
No.
Well, I mean, we've all imagined what it would be like to be Alice in Wonderland, and I think when people watch the show, I know I do. When I watch the episodes, especially when they're going in and out of the pond, I
Yes.
always think about what would you do in that situation, especially because you don't know when you're going. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
You don't know how long you'll be gone. You don't know what you're going to see when you get there. And I love how the show uses musical references to capture a moment in time. And it's very intentional. Things are well thought out.
Mhm.
You don't need to
So
go in
yes,
the
the
pond,
references add up.
Samora, because the hair is fabulous. We don't need pond
Hair.
messing up that dew. So you just stay out of that pond.
Monica would never. Monica
Would
would
kind of be
never.
like, no, what? No, 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 no. I like this. Margie says, Christina Lohman, I agree, because she was writing something. Christina, they're just talking to each other, but they were both saying that about powerful women. I agree because I come from a long line of powerful women. So I love to see women take charge of situations, because Christina said that's what she likes about the show, is that all of the women I mean, it's about women. Yes, there are, like, Elliot's there, but it's truly about women and like their journey and them, like, even with Kat, she's like, no, I'm going to change time, if she can, like
I
trying to,
know. Oh my
They
gosh.
don't give up, and they don't give up on each other.
yeah,
They get mad at the different combinations, get mad at each other, but they always come back to we are family, we are women, we're sisters, and that's just really cool. And it's one of the highlights is I don't think Hallmark has ever done anything like this before.
mm-mm.
And it's not just the time travel, it's the relationships, of all the
Mhm.
women in the show. And the men, not that they're secondary, but
No,
they're not, it really focuses on the women and their empowerment and their relationships with each other. So this is
Mhm.
that's
That's one
true.
of my favorite parts about it, and it's so great because I think there's a lot of quality content out there that maybe in the past men wouldn't watch a show that was led by all
Mhm.
female characters, or certainly the majority of the stories are led by these female characters. But I think that that's changing, and I think also people understand that strong female audiences are craving a different thing as well. We want to see those really rich stories. That's one of my favorite parts of the show, but especially Andy McDowell's performance is Della's really bristly when we first meet her, and she's been alone a long time. And Kat and she have not seen each other. And I've personally loved watching what I've read on the page as we get the scripts each week, to seeing that come out on screen, because sometimes the relationships we have with the women that we admire and that we love and we respect have those ebbs and flows. Someone rubs you the wrong way, especially when
Mhm.
you're dealing with strong personalities. So I've really enjoyed seeing that. And I think that the show has a really excellent way of making us think about life. I remember one of my favorite lines is when Alice says she kind of met her mom and dad in the past, and she has strong feelings about her father and how he behaved and what kind of a young man he was. And she says to her mom, I can't remember the exact line, but she basically says to her mom, and I met dad and he's a jerk and he doesn't deserve you. And
Mhm.
I remember hearing it. I saw it on the page and being like, oh, that's such a good, because we know that young women and girls, Michelle Obama has this awesome quote where she gives young girls this advice and just says, boys will be there. Boys will be there later. Handle your education, handle your passions, find out about what you love, find out what you're good at, and then the boys will be there. So it's really nice that the show has multi-generational audiences. Like I said, I watch it with my mom. My grandmother has passed. I'm sure she's watching it in heaven, and we all watch it together, and we see those little moments of learning where didn't necessarily know that, but now her daughter knows what it looks like when something's not right.
Right.
Honestly, it's the best
and
seeing all the women interact.
the diversity of the cast without throwing it in your face that it's diversity. Like, oh, we have a Black guy here, or we have a gay couple here, or, whatever the circumstances are. Older characters, it's, all the different generations. And it's just so normal. It's such a pleasure to just watch something that's just reflective. Everyone who watches this can see themselves in there, and it just seems very normal. And I love
It
that.
just is. It's just the way life is.
It's life.
Yep, it's just
Yeah.
life. You roll with it. It's not like it's built into like some drama in the storyline. It just is, which I like. That's nice. They're doing such a good job. Lily, Adventures with Lily, she says, Samora, I've so enjoyed this. You're wonderful and you're doing an amazing job as Monica.
Thank you, Lily. That's my sister's name, Samora and
Oh.
Lily.
And
thank you so much. I'm enjoying it a lot. I've had such a great time here chatting with you. You're such an enthusiastic interviewers, and it's really nice to be with other cool chicks.
And then thank you. Jan says thank you. You're so good, so informative without revealing anything, if that makes sense.
It does.
Oh, thank you, Janice. We were so, as a cast, trying to find out and had our own theories about the central mystery of the show, because a huge blessing is that a show is so well received and everyone enjoys making it so much that it gets a season 2. But then, at least for me as an audience member, the fear kicks in a little bit, because you're like, oh, are we going to get any answers? And what are we going to get to find out about what's happened to this family? But the best shows leave you wanting that information and caring about these people, not just because they're characters that you like, but they remind you of people in your real life or yourself in situations that you've been in. So I appreciate that, Janice. I wouldn't tell you if I did know, but in terms of what's going to happen, I know what I'm praying happens. And if these were my real friends and they had lost their son or their brother, I would just be praying that everything would end peacefully and people would get the resolution that they're hoping for.
We have our one last comment, and then we're going to let you go. And oh my goodness, this has been a wonderful chat. Kathy says, I've never seen a show like this one, and I'm so vested, and I can't stop thinking about all the storylines and how the people are all a part of each other's lives. Yes.
Same, Kathy, same. It is wild how invested you can become when a story is well told. I'm on the show. I've read the scripts, but I hope everyone is caught up. But when Kat is walking home and he gets inside the house, I felt it like it was happening, like, to me.
Yes.
I was so emotionally invested, and I think the way that all unfolded is we could all imagine exactly what that would feel like.
Yes. It was like pain all over again. And she says, and I was like, it made me cry, actually.
It's like she's really
Me
dealing
too.
with it the first time. It's just her pain was just, you could feel it.
Yeah.
And it never goes away, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think is so respectful, and it really shows the slice of humanity with the way the show handles it, because maybe we haven't all had a brother that went missing in the middle of the night, but all of us have experienced grief in some way.
Yeah.
And we know what those stages of healing can be. And sometimes you have a big setback. So we're watching in real time is Kat having this massive setback in her grieving. And I think the way the show handles, like, Sadie made me actually cry when she just really couldn't fix it. She couldn't save him, and she just broke down. So that's why when I read scenes where I'm going to talk to Dell and I'm going to kind of accuse her of taking down the posters, all in the back of my head as Monica and as Samora is, here's a woman and I have a son in the show. Here's a woman whose son was at the carnival playing on a game, and then she never saw him again.
No.
So you want to find out who took down those posters, but I'm always making sure that Monica's a real human person, and not the villain who would so callously be mean to a woman who's just trying her best.
Yeah.
And because, Dell is trying her best. Her home has been invaded. Her home has been invaded, but she's taking her time and she's developing a beautiful relationship with her granddaughter. So that I enjoy watching a lot.
It's good. Thank you so much, Samora, for joining us.
Indeed.
Thank you for having me.
So
you're both so fun to talk to.
Thank you. When season 2 rolls around and we do this all again, we'll have to have you back. Right?
Yes, we're manifesting some expansion for Monica.
Now,
This
is
isn't
there
a secret between us. I tell everybody.
okay. Is there anything that you, aside from The Way Home, have coming out that you wanna share with us that we should be looking, or is you can't talk about it, or can you, or
I do have stuff coming out. This has been a very exciting year. So a film that I did will be premiering in Los Angeles later this year. It's called Sarah, and I did my first role where I perform all of my own stunts, and we shot it in Chicago. That's coming out this year. There's a great show on Apple TV called Circuit Breaker. Some of the episodes are already out. If you haven't seen it yet,
oh, okay.
just check it out. And it's kind of Black Mirror meets Stranger Things that is coming out. So it's an anthology series. And then the other thing I know so far about this year is the one of the most thrilling experiences I had as an actress this year, aside from working on The Way Home, was I worked with Don Cheadle,
Oh
Oscar
gosh.
caliber actor Don Cheadle,
Yes.
Iron Man, Marvel Don Cheadle, well-read, political savvy Don Cheadle
Yes.
directed some episodes of this show called The Big Cigar. And it's based on Huey P. Newton, a Black Panther, and when he kind of absconded to Cuba. Elite television, created by Janine Sherman Burwa, who also created The Kings of Napa, which I appeared on, and that comes out this year. And it's 1970s period clothes made by the woman who did the costumes for The Woman King.
No.
Gersha Phillips. Yeah.
Oh.
So you
Oh.
want to talk about clothes, you want to know that the woman who designed the costumes for the Woman King, literally Ethiopian shells that would be properly adorned on a garment given by African royals, this woman painstakingly created 1970s clothes. So between Monica on The Way Home and her wardrobe, and then these beautiful, my character's a Black Panther in an Angela Davis natural hairstyle. I can't wait to see it. I honestly can't wait to see it. And working with Don Cheadle and seeing how that unfolds
Is that the one from Chicago that was done in Chicago or partly done in Chicago?
the one in Chicago is called A Social Contract, and that's my co-star in that is Sean Astin from Rudy and Lord of the Rings, and it's a political thriller. But this one coming out on Apple. If you follow me on social media, I try and maintain a positive space and share my light as much as I can. If you follow me, that's where I'll post about everything that's going on.
All right, good.
And
Me
Kathy and
too.
Roxanne, I hope that you do.
Me
I
too.
should post
Okay.
more of my behind the scenes from The Way Home.
Yep.
I have a
Absolutely.
ton of
We love that.
stuff.
We love that.
I have a ton of stuff and I should post it because, as an actor, you make your little folders for when the episodes come out because you can't spoil anything.
No,
Right.
no. And I do know that Sadie she'll share a little bit each week. And I think who else? Someone else shares. Sadie does. And I feel like maybe Evan shared some behind the scenes. And I know that Kerry did. He shared some behind the scenes of when he was on as, adult Nick. So that was fantastic. Love
Hmm.
to gobble that up. So do share. And I do follow you. I do.
I'm going to follow you as well. And maybe I will post some more. Sometimes I get so conflicted about posting BTS, but Evan is one of the nicest people in the entire world.
I
And that
love
is one
him.
of my favorite characters I think I've seen in a long, long time. Look at
Ellie is.
that's literally telling me to call my grandfather.
All right. Call your grandfather.
Tell him hi from
Tell
all
him we
of,
said
all
hello
of your
and that we
fans.
love you. So you were just talking with your fans.
Yes, and my friends talking about TV shows and all of that. I
Yes.
enjoyed watching your episodes as well and getting familiar with what you do on your show. Your enthusiasm for
Thank you.
us and for the shows and the content is so lovely. And just keep doing what you're doing because it spreads positivity, and we all need a little more of that.
We do. We
Thank
do.
you so much for being with us.
All right. You have to go
Take
talk to
You're
your
care.
welcome. Thank you,
grandma.
Kathy. Thank you, Roxanne. And just
You're welcome.
please send me a link if it's possible to send to all
Absolutely.
of my people, and I will repost on all of my socials so that everybody can check it
Sounds
out.
good. Will do. All right.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
I'll see you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. All right. That was
That's
so lovely.
delightful. She
She's
is so,
amazing.
yeah.
What a gorgeous person. She's such a gorgeous person.
Yep.
All right, friends. Oh, she's still there.
No. Oh, she's
Yeah.
Thank you for all of
We're
your
happy.
kind words and for having me. And thank you to all of your fans who had such great questions. Keep watching The Way Home. Post, tag, and tweet all
We
about
will.
it.
We will.
Bye.
Good night. Good night. All right. So, this is the time when you all can go grab a drink or use the bathroom if you need to. But what time is it exactly, Miss Kathy? Let's see. It is
8:55 Eastern.
okay. So at on the hour, whether it be by us 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, wherever you are, but on the hour, we are going to put our answers in for this is my close-up challenge. Normally I pop it up here, but I got lazy. Please excuse me. I mean, I had to do a room transformation at school and all that stuff. So I am just going to post it up here just to let you see this was the close-up. And on the hour, you can put it in the chat what you think that is. Okay. All right, Miss Kathy.
I just have some bullet points.
Okay. You want to get started first?
Yeah.
First,
So
I have
quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, do what you were going to do. What did you say you have to do?
No, I was just going to say that I just love talking with Samora. She's amazing.
She's great.
She's like
great.
amazing. Amazing. She has beautiful energy and she shared so much. I just like Alex did. I loved how Alex shared just stuff about the setting and the cast in general. And I like the same with Samora, how she gave us some insight into like the script and the cast getting along. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, go ahead. What are your bullet points?
My random thoughts. Elliot, was it Elliot or Nick? I don't even remember anymore, but they told Kat the gangs are going to get together tonight. And I'm expecting a crowd, and it's like the three of them. I'm like, come on, guys, the gang.
I know. That's cute, though. I love it.
I was really kind of annoyed with the poker ladies and Byron because they were being so pushy with Alice. No, tell us, what boy do you like? It was just like, you're all 90. Quit pushing this 16-year-old girl.
She was having a hard time, wasn't she?
She really was.
And I love that's when they showed us the little Alice cards and they zeroed in the Alice of Wonderland cards. I love when they slip those kinds of things in.
Someone is either really clever or really sadistic. I'm not sure which yet. We'll probably know by episode 10.
I know.
I enjoyed Del and Byron only because Del didn't let me down. He's like, I think I need to leave. Okie dokie. Bye.
She didn't even try to say. I love her character's like no nonsense like that. Like she didn't even try to say otherwise. She's like, okay, bye.
Yeah. And I still maintain until somebody shows me or the show posts an episode that shows something different. I think Byron is shady. Not sure what the backstory is there, but I don't trust that guy as far as I can throw him.
No, before you hold that thought. I wanted to add to it. I'm wondering I'm wondering if I get the same feeling you do, that there's something there, more of a mystery just from the way he looks. And I feel like that's what the director is telling him to do. And that's what's on the script to keep us kind of guessing, because otherwise the only other answer is that he's there and they haven't really developed his character enough. But that's so against every character we've met. He or she is so well developed. I'm like,
And every look, every nuance, every action, everything he says.
Yes.
We will be able to go back and say, yeah. And he doesn't, they're not even trying to make him measure up to Colton or her memory of Colton.
Yes.
So, and then I thought he really was trying to not force his will on her, but just planted in her mind, take the ring off. It's just a memory anymore. I don't even know if he was really married. That could have been a total lie to worm his way closer into her graces. Spencer and just Spencer. So was it last week or the previous episode where he planned this friendly dinner that was just full of romance?
That annoyed you.
Candles. That really annoyed the heck out of me because he's got a girlfriend and that was clearly a date. And it annoyed me too that Alice just went along with it. So I'm thinking, okay, he broke up with Zoe and the show just didn't see fit. Maybe they'll mention it later.
They'll mention it, right?
No, they're out having snacks and there's Zoe right next to him. I'm like, you two, that's shady. Spencer and Alice. I just didn't like that. I don't know where they're going with it, but they need to do it in a much more clean fashion.
Right, and I'm wondering if it's almost I get the same vibey feelings for like I get about Byron, I get with Spencer and Zoe. And I have to say when they had the three of them sitting there in present time, well, of course, because Zoe and Spencer don't go back in time. They were sitting in the cafe and they're talking to each other. And she talks about she being Alice about her heartbreaking and like a whole mess and whatnot and breakups and Zoe says something like we get it, we understand, we under like I get it, I understand. And then I'm thinking what does that mean? And then Zoe gives like a look to Spencer and he kind of has this look. So I'm like, did something happen and they didn't
Well, why don't
announce
they
it?
say it? It's not like Zoe is a major character. I mean,
Like what is that,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
I'm thinking just like with Byron, they're building up for next season. Like these are some of the things that they're going to expand upon for next season. I don't think all of that stuff is going to be answered. Can we go back a little bit before we move on though? It's still talking
Oh, hang
about
on.
Byron.
I'm gonna look for 8 o'clock because it's 8:01. Oh,
I
it's
saw
9 o'clock. Did you
yeah.
catch it?
I did. We'll catch it. I wanted to talk about real fast. Laura saying, I think Byron wanted to look for something in Dell's house. That's
That could
interesting.
be. That could be.
Because don't forget, Kat took all that stuff and brought it to her house. And
Hmm.
Byron said, you will bring all of that back. And I'm wondering if maybe she hasn't or something's still
Or he thinks
missing.
she didn't bring it all back.
Yes. And he wanted to get in, somehow wormed his way into staying there.
You know, it could have been what she found on the boat. Remember
Yeah.
Colton's notebook? That
Yes.
could very well be what Byron's after. And then, you know, it may turn out this guy is perfectly nice.
Yes, that's true.
And
This is
we're yeah,
We're going cuckoo over that.
yeah.
Now, of course, two big things that we're going to discuss is the kiss, and we're going to discuss Nick, but we're not there yet. But hold on. Mommy of Six says, I do not think Byron is Jacob or Colton. I have seen many people put that as a theory on our fan page, and I think it's weird, and I don't think there's reincarnation.
No.
I don't
The
think
age is totally off for either one of them.
well, not for Colton.
You
'Cause
think
he's
Byron is the same age as Andy? Andy. Dell? I thought he was younger.
she's dating a younger man. Dell is Byron's younger than
It's not totally out of
No,
the.
no, 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 no. I know that, but I don't think of him as much younger than her. I thought they were kind of the same age. Okay, could be. I didn't even get click into that. I didn't even think of that. Okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. Um, okay, so go ahead. So go ahead. What were you saying about the next thing?
No, I'm now at the last 2 points.
Go ahead. I'm
Yes,
ready.
Nick. Well, I thought Nick's confession was bittersweet. I just, I just love it.
I knew
And
that.
and my favorite part of it was that obviously Alice heard it and she was, like, oh, tug at the heartstrings. That satisfied her that she was not forgotten. But it's like, doggone it, is Elliot Obi-Wan Kenobi? I mean, the minute Nick walked off, he's looking over at Alice and giving her the high sign,
Yes.
smiling at her. It's like that dude knows everything that's going
I
on.
know.
He's like the epicenter of the mystery of the
He
stuff
is.
that's going on.
Now, as soon as I saw Nick come on and they asked, she asked the question of, do you remember my friend Alice? I named my daughter Alice after her. And he's like, no, no. I was like, you lie. I know you do. And I knew that the way they were setting it up and they just talked about it so much and she had so much angst over it. I absolutely knew that this is why he never got married because his heart belonged to her. And in the end, he makes the confession that he never got married because you never forget your first love. And go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I think there was a point to the fact that they were very specific about naming his fiance. There was no reason to do that. He could have just said, I'm engaged now. She's a wonderful girl. They named her. They assigned that character a name. And I think we're going to hear more about that. I hope we are.
And then people all are saying, well, Claire is on Scramble It is Alice,
Except they are.
and they think that there's this future. I don't know about that, but what I loved is from the get-go, you and I said it could be a weird situation there because of that age difference and in present time, but they handled it perfectly.
Mhm.
They really did. They kind of made it sweet, like bittersweet. And I liked it. And I loved that Elliot and Kat were just so worried about her little heart being broken, because she was living it for the first time, even though it was back in time, and they did a good job. And I love how they were in their robes together and they were all, like having their moments, their little cry fests. That was cute.
It's like the friendship that happened in 1999 is starting to manifest itself in the
Yes.
mother-daughter relationship, which
Yes.
is totally cool. There was a
Yes.
scene, I believe, on the porch of the house with
Mm-hmm.
all three of them. Della's standing up, like facing the door, and Alice and Kat are in the
On the chairs.
chairs.
The
And
blanket.
I remember looking at that thinking, Kat's the only one that's got some man stuff going on at this point. Speaking of which, I absolutely love the way they handled that it was her that's like, oh, the heck with this. Let's just get it on.
Yes. And I liked, a lot of people thought when they saw the previews, when she's standing there and she's wet and she's got that look on her face and he's like, what? They're like, oh, she just experienced something. I'm like, oh no. I knew she was going in. She was like, I just saw the terrible things that could happen in the past. Life is fragile. You and I are going to be kissing. And
yep. We are not going to miss this. We're not going to miss our chance.
And those were not Hallmark kisses.
No.
And something I may have said before, and I'm not sure, but I have explained that in the professional database, they tell you all the details. I have never, for any kind of movie or show, seen all of the different jobs listed like they did for this show. And I saw at the very bottom that they have an intimacy coordinator. And I thought they need one for this show because they have younger cast members.
Yes.
And they are, intimately kissing, touching, and then they have the older, and it's a little bit more juicier than normal. So I can see why they have an intimacy coordinator on this.
And it's for the protection.
If I see intimacy coordinator like on another show, like people get mad. One woman said, why do you waste your time talking about other shows? I might make a little reference here and there. I don't waste a lot of time. But anyway, like on When Calls the Heart, do you think they need an intimacy coordinator on that? I don't know.
They needed one on that bridge.
On that bridge. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something I wish that we could get Kyler to come on. And Evan, he's busy till June. I just talked to his agent earlier today. So, I mean, I circled back and he's just it's not going to happen for us with this, but I would love to ask them how they talked about it. Like, how did you talk about it? How are you going to go about it? Because I remember talking to other actors and they would explain, we're scene partners. We thought, okay, we've waited so long to kiss. How should we go about it? They really went about it.
And part of that is to the director really, I've seen where, no, you want to go at this angle. Yes. And they say sometimes it's extremely awkward for the actors, but it gives the director the shot that they want. Mm-hmm. So I can see where it really isn't romantic for the actors to get into that, but it's all very mechanical.
Science, yes, and they did a really good job of it, and I loved it because they didn't just kiss; they kissed again and then again. Mm-hmm. It was so
and the
good.
Look on Elliot's face, and it was like, dude, it's been 40 years, and finally, you've got the woman you love who finally is in love with you, and I just thought that was so cool. I'm dying to see Alice's reaction, because she bosses around 1999 Elliot or 2000 Elliot now.
Yes.
And then she was kind of snippy with, current Elliot.
Yes.
I can't wait to see how she reacts. I have the feeling, and I hope I'm right, that she's going to be wholeheartedly approved.
Like
now she knows, how
will.
he felt about her all this time.
I know. And her mother's deserving of that, needing that kind of love. Not that Brady didn't love her, because I think he did, but I think had some, I think we're going to find more out about him. And I feel like for Brady, he has his own issues with his family. Like maybe because there was that cut where the college that he went to wasn't really the college that was so elite that his family went to. And I forget who did the cut. I don't know if it was Nick or when he was like bragging Brady, if it was Nick or if it was Elliot who said something. So basically, when they were younger in 1999, I'm thinking that maybe he just wasn't, not that he wasn't smart enough, but maybe he wasn't to get into the type of college his family expected of him. And in his culture, in the Indian culture, because he's Indian or at least Middle Eastern, that culture, the boys, they have, it's all about education and you got to go to a good school and be, something super successful. So maybe that's the chip on his shoulder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I also get the feeling though it's sometimes what was it Freud said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. And I think that they really did just grow apart. He's got this lifestyle. Is he a stockbroker or something, or a banker?
House or something.
Okay. He's a big boy. And I think he wants that high life. He wants to, I got it. I'm going to flaunt it, as Ralph Cramden used to say. And she, had her, own direction she wanted to go in with the writing. And I think they literally just grew apart. Plus, I think teenage Nick was a lot more the real Nick than we assumed by seeing the adult Nick first, where he was just all, what do the Texans say? All hat and no cattle. He's a braggart. He wants to live the life and doesn't want to be tied down. Hence the fiance. What's her name?
Claire?
No, Claire.
Oh, no, his fiance. Oh gosh, we don't hear about
we
her.
don't know if she's a fiance, his live-in girlfriend.
I forgot her name already. Yeah.
So I don't know if she'll show up, but I think Brady may make one, another attempt to get Kat back.
Oh yeah.
But it's just going to be his pride. It's not because he really wants her back. It's just going to be his pride.
Right. So I wanted to address this before we wrap up stuff here. Margie, you were the first. You were at 9 o'clock. You're the first at 9 on my timestamp here. To say Alice's bathrobe. You are correct. So you are going to be added to our list, Margie. For the we'll put you on the big wheel and spin it at the very end for a prize. Now, we do know that there isn't any official merch. I think, I'm trying to forget if I asked the publicist this. I may have, and I don't remember. No, I don't think I asked them yet. I wanted to make sure there wasn't anything, but we're going to brainstorm and come up with something cool. I think I already have an idea of what we're going to do for the winter, but I have to run it by you, Kathy. Okay. Someone here is talking about the time stamping, and there's a delay. The truth is, there is a delay when you talk or when you say something, but there's not a delay when things come up on the timestamp. That's why I say at 9 o'clock, because or 0 o'clock everywhere is the same. And that's why we say it early. And then so whoever has it ready earns it first. And that would be Margie this time. Congratulations, Margie. Okay, so go ahead. You could keep going. I was just going to start posting some of the cool things people are saying as we're going along.
Nothing. My heart is clutching just thinking about the last 2 episodes. I think number 9 next week is going to drive us nuts.
Yes.
And then we're going to be like dying for that week until episode 10 shows. But I'm kind of looking forward to it. And because number 1, I think they're not going to resolve everything.
No,
we got a season 2, but the other thing is whatever it is that makes our jaw drop. It's like I don't know if I can live with that for the next.
I know
period until season 2 starts.
Well, I will say this while we're chatting and adding some people's comments that are up here, and I love how you communicate with each other also in the chat. I would like to know what people's ideas of the jaw drop are. Like you really can't, we can't really put that up on the fan page because we've seen things that other people haven't. So they might think a jaw drop has something to do with Nick, but now we already know what happened with Nick. So I would love it if people would put their comments, what they think is the oh my gosh, right? And while that's happening, Kathy, getting back to Byron, I don't believe anything Byron says. He's a dog.
I think he could be.
And Margie is saying, I don't trust Byron either, and thought he fired Kat because she was getting too close to finding something in the archives. And I am in big agreement. That's why I forgot, and I'm sorry, but I forgot who said that maybe he was trying to get something out of her house. I'm like, oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I think the jaw drop could be Colton and or Jacob showing up. And of course, I have no inside knowledge, and then Jacob could be, I'm kind of thinking he might be a grown man. So he'd be in his like early 30s, I think, at this point, that maybe a stranger shows up and at the house and they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Jacob.
Okay.
Make
Okay.
my jaw drop.
I'm thinking, I really think it has something to do with Jacob. I feel like he's like, if it's not that he's alive, but we're going to find out something that we're going to be like, oh, like, yeah, it's one way and then
Go
boom,
ahead.
it's something else, right?
I'm thinking Byron goes home. We see his home for the first time, and he goes down in his cellar and opens a door, and it's like, oh, here's your dinner, and I have no idea. And season 2 is why
Kathy, you and people being kept in the basement.
This Grandpa Hunky
and
Pastor Frank.
What in the world? There's a collection of handsome men in your basement. You don't even have a basement, do you?
Nope, but there should be.
Okay.
I should have a basement, and those guys should be there.
Oh, goodness, dear Lord, I'm going to lose you. You're going to, next week, if Kathy's not here.
Greg said, Kathy making up Criminal Minds episodes for Hallmark. Well, yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing.
That's what you're doing. I love it. Arlene says, Alice, this is cool. Alice holding a royal flush, all of hearts, possibly a double meaning, like live with the hand that you're dealt in love. That Alice hears Nick remember her, remember her. Okay, didn't remember her. Your love for Nick wasn't a loss. And that's true. She finds out in the end, which is what? Go ahead. What?
So the carnival's coming to town.
Yes.
That obviously is going to have something to do with the big finish.
Yes.
What if they're showing the Ferris wheel and they're showing the guy and it's still in the, you can't see him.
Yes.
He reveals himself, and that's Nick.
And
not Nick, Jacob.
Jacob. Maybe.
What, the carnival kidnapped him.
Because in the carnival, there's the looking glass, the mirror, the mirror room, and he goes running through it, and they go running after him. I don't know. I think we're missing something in that. I really do, because he could have gone missing at any time. Mm-hmm. It could have been the Lobster Fest. Instead, it's a carnival, and he's a little guy, and he's missing. And remember when I knew that he is not having an affair. Right. And we even addressed this. I knew that he was meeting someone, and here it's a private investigator, which is why all his money is being eaten up and whatnot. I get all that. But I think that, okay, you know what? My train of thought for that, hold that. I'm not going to even say, because that involves Kat and whatnot. But I really think when he was talking to the private investigator, he's like, there's got to be more. This would have washed up. That would have came about. This would have been here. And there's none of it, So I'm like, there's something there. And we all think it has to do with him getting in the pond and him lost somewhere, but it could be something very real like someone took him from the carnival and has had him all this time. I mean, I don't know.
I'm interested in the dynamic and I'm totally convinced that it's Kat who's going to be at Colton's funeral crying.
Yes, me too.
Going to see. But how on earth is she going to explain that to Del?
And she cries. I think she's the one who's crying. I agree with you.
I think that's her, but
yes,
that was actually me. Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting conversation.
Now we've got Norma. She is saying maybe the almanac. Maybe that is what Byron was looking for, the almanac. And that would make sense because there's
Oh,
all kinds of good stuff in there. And he could have very easily opened it. And maybe we didn't see it now, but in the future, they'll show us in a flashback him looking at the almanac, which is in the living room where he was sleeping.
and who is Tristan? Was Tristan the name that was right under
And
Jacob's?
there's a female name too. So it's relatives and whatnot. So I'm curious to know what that is,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Now, let's come back to this almanac. Someone had posted on the fan page, and I am not saying this because I'm trying to say you were wrong and I am right. I wanted to just clear this up. There's a misconception about they were saying, oh, look, the writers didn't do their job. The almanac wasn't really invented until so many years after. And some people are like, oh, that's like creative license. The truth of the matter is the post that was posted was not paid. They didn't pay attention to what was really being said. And it was a timeline. And they were talking about this one publisher who did an almanac in New Jersey. So almanacs have been around. I mean, Benjamin Franklin is big time with the almanac, and they've been around since the 1700s. So an almanac, yes, was there. The farmer's almanac has always been around at almost like 100 years before 1814 when we see it in the story. Just a little tidbit. And I teach this, my students, we learn about the almanac. Let's see. Is there anything that we're missing here that we wanted to talk about? And I wanted to see what some of the people's ideas are. A good question, Dana. Dana, you had a question? Okay, here we go. I wonder when Alice is going to find out about Cat and Elliot. Oh, when is she going to? Okay. Yeah. And salty dog reactions. Other than Jacob, this show is really about finding closure. Dell needs Cat to help her find it. I still believe Elliot is some sort of gatekeeper.
I think of him that way too, almost like a Doctor Who kind of figure that he's at the epicenter of everything.
Yeah.
And I just would love to get a look at his notebook.
I know. You know what? That's true. Margie's interest in Arlene. They're interested in who bought the Roxy and how will it be changed. Like, wonder where that's going and why.
Be a good reason to bring Nick back to town. Nick and Claire.
Yeah, yeah. Did Nick buy the Roxy? No. No, he didn't. All right, these are people's theories. I had wanted to point this out. Jan thinks that Claire probably looks like Alice. What do you think? There's stuff about her that reminds him of her, right?
I don't know. I have absolutely I haven't formed any opinion yet on that. First of all, I hope we're going to see Nick again, and I hope he brings Claire with him, but I don't know if they're going to do that.
I did ask for Kerry to be on. I asked Kerry to be on last week. I sent it out to his agent. But the funny thing is, I sent the email out on a Sunday afternoon, and it came up, offices closed, won't be in until 10 a.m. But so it gets bounced back wherever. We'll look at it in a timely manner and didn't hear anything. So dummy me sends it again, and I forgot it was Sunday. So I sent it again this morning because I would love for Kerry to be on. I would like to ask him 1,001 questions. We all would. And he has a book coming out, and it's of his photography. And I would love for him just to talk about that as well. I love how it switched from Elliot and Nick drinking beer to them as teens sucking down slushies and getting brain freezes. And what about Kyler singing?
Yeah,
wow.
that was a surprise.
I know. All right, so let's see. Look at that. Maybe something happens to adult Cat in 2000 regarding her father's accident.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm wondering, hey, here's a theory. Byron was somehow involved in Jacob's disappearance. Could be. Yeah. All right. I'm just trying to figure out what everybody's theories are about what the draw dropping. Oh, I want to see the almanac too. When is a cat?
No, that's an almanac versus a Bible.
Pardon me?
It's an almanac versus a Bible.
Yeah, it's actually the Farmer's Almanac that they fill out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, and it was called the mirrors with things were called the Haunted Forest. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, that was my phone blowing up. Sorry. All right. Look at that. It says she sang on Grey's Anatomy too. That's true. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
she sang while she was under that plane. Oh no, I'm thinking of the wrong show.
All right. Here's mommy of 6. Maybe ending will have something to do with the dog. Maybe the dog will have something to do with Jacob. There is some kind of connection between the dog and Jacob. Absolutely. What it is, I don't know, but definitely there is a link between the two. I totally agree with that. And I hope we get to figure out who is the person running in 1814 into the pond. I really do hope we get a little bit more information, if not all of it. And people were saying, the pond should be frozen. This is Canada. Well, it looks like it is in the previews. I see some ice over that pond, right? I do. All right, friends, just a few housekeeping things. If you are on the fan page, there's some things I need to remind many of you that are new. We have to put a spoiler alert. People get so excited. They were like, they kissed. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to put post approval on, and I would take it down. So we're all back to post approval again. Those of you that have it down pat, you're not, I will lift it. But for all that are new and they get excited, we don't want to ruin it for our friends that are still behind in watching. People have wonderful suggestions and they'll say, oh, why don't you put this space and everybody has to write under it? They don't. We tried that. So this is the easiest way. Don't be insulted if you're on post approval. If you have everything right, we're just going to click and say, okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Miss Kathy, do you have anything to say?
Just thank you again. What Roxy said, thank you. And we're getting down to the wire. 2 more episodes. So I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. I know. So am I. I am. All right. Well, you all have a good night, ponderers. Oh, but I forgot about this. I don't do closings very well. It's the Italian in me. We take forever to say goodnight and goodbye and goodnight and goodbye, getting out the door. Tomorrow night, if you are a fan of Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies, I start with my interviews that will be coming on in April. And my first interview is with Todd Thompson. And if you are a When Calls the Heart fan, you will know that he was on in this last season and the season before that as Mr. Landis. And he is coming on. He's been our guest before. I will interview him tomorrow. He's going to talk about his part in Grease. And I'm excited. I wonder if he sings or not, because he does have some musical background. I know he plays the guitar or something. So he's a fun guy. He's going to come on tomorrow at 8. It's already been posted.
8 Eastern?
Yes, like always. All right. And now I'm going to say good night.
Good night, all. See you next week.
Good night. All right.